Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And joining me, as always, for the third Thursday of every month is SPDM Crew podcaster, my friend, frequent collaborator. It is Luke.
Hello, and let's get fine, shall we?
Yes, we are doing a double dose of Ralph Fiennes' Oscar-winning dramas. One of these films won a lot more Oscars than the other, and it should have been the opposite. Because honestly, so we're going to be to not bury the lead. We're going to be talking about The Constant Gardener and The English Patient,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm just going to say this right now, Luke. I feel like The Constant Gardener is one of the most underappreciated Oscar films of like the aughts and the 2000s because like especially the year this came out, how this didn't win more awards is ridiculous to me because this was the freaking crash year.
I would go even one step. I agree with you, and I would even go one step beyond and say I think it's still underappreciated as well, like underrated. Because like
Yeah.
when I finished it and looked it on Letterboxd, I was surprised how many people just rated it like middling, like a middling way, and I'm like, really? Okay, maybe I'm too easy to please. Okay.
Honestly thought this is a pretty incredible film, and
Mm-hmm.
this is the second time I've watched this.
Oh,
And
nice.
because this was actually on my watch list because it's an
Ah.
Oscar-winning film, and I did watch it one random night off my watch list. But this is a story of a widower's transcontinental quest to find answers about his wife's death leads him to explosive secrets. And this is from Fernando Morales. I think that's how you say his name, but he is the filmmaker that made City of God. So that's his biggest claim to fame. And he also had The Two Popes, which also was got some serious Oscar
Totally
attention as well.
same movies, right? City of God, Two Popes.
Completely, both all three of these movies ended with two elderly popes watching football and just having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Eating the
But
pizza, you know.
one of these movies, not like the
Yeah,
others.
yes.
And that's the two popes. Because honestly, this is much more City of God speed in terms
100%.
of like the brutality of the world that our
Mm-hmm.
characters are stuck in. But before we get too much into diving in, look, what were your general thoughts on the Constant Gardener?
So my general thoughts, I'm really close to saying loving it. Like I would say like low side of loved it.
Mhm.
My biggest complaint would be I think sometimes the quote unquote action is shot in this like with this like shaky cam, which was very mid 2000s, you
Yes.
know, and I don't think that added anything to this specific movie. But minus that, I thought this was pretty great movie, pretty I would say evergreen movie in a sense where no matter if you watched it in 2005 or 2025, the
Hmm.
themes and what it's talking about, big corporations, you should use proper channels. You should do things properly whilst fighting these big conglomerates. Oh, I wonder how the proper channels do not work unless you expose them. I wonder. But no, so yeah, I really thought it was awesome. What did you think?
So obviously, like I mentioned, this is my second time watching
Hmm.
this film, and I was really impressed by this.
Hmm.
And like to your point too, like one, this is not the kind of thriller that relies heavily on action. So like when the action does happen, they're certainly like leaning into that experience. And I think the biggest
Yes.
thing is towards the client, like towards the end of the film.
Hmm.
One sequence in this village out in the middle of nowhere. Um,
I was
and
even
that
thinking like the hotel room scene where it's like like a
oh yeah,
Ralph Fine because
gets roughed up.
he is damn fine in both of these movies, I'll say.
Yep.
But like that hotel scene, I was like, oh, what's happening? I guess he's getting beaten up. I just wish I could see that.
Which one, this film is indeed so like the second time I watched this, so I watched this actually, I had a couple of my friends over for my movie club, and
Mhm.
we watched like a 1916 film that was only 45 minutes for this month. So like
Nice.
there's plenty other time afterwards for
Yeah.
that us to watch something else. And I mentioned like these are some of the films I have to watch for for some of my podcasts, and they chose this one to watch. And so
Mhm.
we watched this together, and like the conversation afterwards of just like this feels so uncomfortable to watch in 2025, realizing just like this
Mhm.
is still so bad in terms of just the power that money talks. It's all money. And at
Yes.
the end of the day, you even if you're trying to do good in the world, if it affects somebody's money, your life potentially could be at risk. And that's the weight of what this film captures in the story that it's telling. And it's interesting because the structure of this film, it gives you the them meeting. You have Justin and Tessa having their like meet cute
Mhm.
of her like lambasting him and this talk
That
that
was the
he's
most
doing.
aggressive meet cute ever. Like, she's just
Yes.
like, "Oh, why are you doing this? You're such an awful person." And he's like polite about it, like because he's
And he's
obviously
being
like,
so British
diplomat.
about it.
Like, and he's a diplomat, so like he needs to be proper. He needs to be like,
Yes.
and it's just like that's like the most aggressive. And then like, in 5 minutes they're fucking, and I'm like, okay, nice, nice.
This is exactly how this was meant to go. Well, and
Hmm.
then she obviously it that scene really sets up the dynamic between their characters because she is very very heart driven, and he is the most British person you could possibly find. Where he just
Yes.
stiff upper lip and keeping it cool, keeping it Rafe refined. You're all welcome.
Yes.
And just even she starts like she takes a step back and she's like, I was a monster to you. I need to apologize. He's like, it's quite all right. And just like in that most like very even keeled. And at the heart of it, that also becomes the biggest challenge of their relationship because I wanted to hate Tessa so much for a lot of the things, how she treats their marriage from the outside looking in. But I had to keep taking a step back and also reinforcing like Justin's not the kind of person that's really like actively engaging in the way that he probably should in a relationship. Like he's trying to like keep a distance and keep things that way, and he doesn't ask questions.
Hmm.
And like there needed to be more communication in their marriage, just from outside looking in, watching this film. And I think maybe some of the underlying issues that were going on, and that's a tricky thing because like neither of them really acknowledged to each other that they did have issues, but like as a viewer of the film you can tell like there's stuff in this relationship that Justin has no idea what the hell his wife's doing. And
Yeah.
then he sees like that creepy email from Sandy, which also top tier villain status. Danny Houston's a bastard in this movie.
100%. I think it's even what I found fascinating, it's even more complex than that because like
Yeah.
I can see why you would hate either of them, right? Because obviously
Mhm.
she's always all in everybody's face about how they're bad people, right? And he's always the one who doesn't want to acknowledge how bad things are going because again, he's a
Smoothing.
diplomat. He's
Smoothing.
he's like the proper politician. He
Yes.
gives you an answer that consists of like 50 sentences, and at the end of it, you realize hasn't actually answered any single question. Like the
He
single
hasn't
question he
said
was supposed
anything.
to, he said, yeah, he said fuck all. So like he's the proper definition of like this diplomat, politician. So you can see why you should hate both of them and why those two should not work, and how the compromises they make to work, like enhances them, but at the same time also puts this kind of mystery slash, is she cheating on me? Is she not cheating on me? Into that relationship, like the dynamic
Yeah.
where when she dies, which is not a spoiler, like it happens within the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And
We
then
know
we see,
that's the call to action of the whole
yes,
entire
yes,
film.
yes. So when she dies and we then see the beginning of the relationship, that's also tiny detail I appreciated. We never get 5 years ago or 1 year ago.
Yes.
No, she's alive, so obviously, this has happened in the past. You don't have to have
Yes.
a title card, right? That I really appreciated that tiny touch. Okay. And to me, this is one of those where it's like it's about relationship. The first like 40, 50 minutes is about a relationship, and then it turns into this drama thriller about like this
Yeah.
pharma company. And two characters at one point say something along the lines of, "Oh, this is how just it's done. If I choose, if I were to choose him over you, I'll choose you." And then that's a justify, the end justify the means. So this is why I think gets lost on many people. This is not just, oh, people good, big corporations bad. Yes, there is definitely that there. But I think this movie shows you how every single one of us has had that moment. It's like, I know what I'm doing. Hopefully to not to that extent. Hopefully to not
Mm.
that extent, but I know what I'm doing or saying is morally wrong, but this is how it's done. How many of us, I think all of us have had at least once in our life, had to justify something like, yeah, I don't like it, but this is how I make money. This is how
Yeah.
things are done. This is, I'm not gonna help this person because like I would have had to help 10 others. And this is said by two people, one of them being Ralph Fiennes, and the other later on, two totally different backgrounds, they couldn't be any more different, right? However, that's the universality, that's the human universality of that, like our experience that truly binds us, where we, because what we see is awful, and we always, and when you see awful things, you always question, why does it have to be like that? And that's when these sentences should hit you. Oh, it's always been like this. It's This is just their job. This is just a, and like this, the link of link, this kind of chain of sequences we see, we will never know who actually killed her, because this politician does gives an order. Somebody else picks up the phone. Somebody else phones a friend. Somebody else leaves a voicemail on the on the answering machine. Ultimately, you never know who's gonna kill you. Ultimately, you never know who actually does it, but it doesn't really matter because that's how it's done.
Well, and this is such the coded of Chinatown.
Correct. Yeah.
It's that this is interestingly like that kind of like 70s era
Mm-hmm.
nihilistic look at like the world is effed. And like this has like a slightly uplifting moment of
Mm-hmm.
there might be actual consequences, but like the sacrifice to get to that point, like, and we spoil films on this
Yeah.
show and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Our two main characters don't make it out of this movie alive. Obviously, one of them dies pretty early on in the film,
Mm-hmm.
and we get flashbacks throughout the film, so we get to know her more. Like Justin doesn't make it out of this okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in the most like fake news BS cover up of like he shot himself in the same place that his wife died. Yeah, he got found with like six bullets in his body from like
Yeah.
rifles and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, he totally committed suicide.
That eulogy, like that his eulogy was like he was shot no less than 8 times by three different guns. Definitely.
Yes. Well, and we'll get back to that ending because
Hmm.
there's some
Hmm.
amazing elements of that. But like
Yeah.
I love the setup of their relationship.
Hmm.
It's complicated. It's even hard to just sit here and describe it in specific words and try to simplify it, but like they have a complex relationship.
Hmm.
And yes, the audience were thinking like, is she cheating on him with Dr.
Hmm.
Arnold
Yeah.
and or Andy? And we have that moment where he is willing to quid pro quo for a letter
Hmm.
and with Sandy, complete another scumbag. And we're sitting there like, we want to hate Tessa for that. Because like, what did Justin do to deserve this?
Hmm.
On some level, Justin did nothing. And the nothing's part of the problem.
Yes.
Like, that's something that he even becomes to realize that he has been an ostrich with his head in the sand
Hmm.
for so much of this. And it's really compelling seeing him come to this call of action.
Hmm.
And like some of it's on a level of like he sees an email from Sandy, or hears about this and that, and it starts coming out of like a there's a bit of a jealousy kind of element to it, but also he starts to realize that like he lost love of his life because at the end of the day, they do really love each other.
Hmm.
And there's a particular moment where you get a this unique insight into Tessa through, like storytelling device. And you really see what her perspective is, and you really realize how much they really meant to each other. And that just
Hmm.
makes the whole rest of the film that much more tragic. And then, like you brought up this scene, but Justin gets beat up in a uh hotel. It's just like you're gonna wind up like your wife.
Yeah.
And he's flipping over too many stones. And even along the way, as he's meeting helpful people, they were also not so helpful people.
Because
Like
everybody's scared, you know.
Pete Postlewaite's character is so interesting
Hmm.
because that was there's excellent casting in this film from top to bottom, and Pete Postlewaite is probably one of the most underappreciated like all-time talented actors.
Yes.
It's like he just would pop up in character actor roles. He was never really a leading man in film. Obviously he was like a big theater person, but like he's so excellent in that, and his character, who is the smoking gun to take down this drug empire, but he's also the smoking gun that took down Tessa.
Hmm.
And this film is so interesting in that nothing is simple.
Yes.
The world is complicated. Everything is gray area. And that's what makes this experience so interesting and challenging to me. And I really do like take a step back and really think about like why this didn't get more love and
Hmm.
why this doesn't get talked about more. I feel like this is like one of the forgotten films of the aughts, and that's just written off as Oscar bait, which also, how the hell did this not get nominated for Best Picture? Oh yeah, because Crash got nominated and then also won Best Picture.
It's yeah, see,
Ridiculous.
so talking about Oscars, right? So obviously, as I mentioned to you last month, one of the reasons I picked it was I always forget Rachel Weisz is an Oscar winner for this
Yes.
movie, Best Supporting Actress, right?
Mm.
And like, the more I think about a movie, and I'm only removed by 14 hours. I literally watched it last night. So, but
Mm.
the more I think about it, the more like I really agree with this because
Yeah.
I think and I looked at the category and I think closest that probably was a breathing on her neck in that year was I think Michelle, what's her name from Brokeback Mountain.
Williams.
Yeah, Williams. Yes,
Yep.
I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain, but I know the reputation. Like it's on my again,
Yeah.
it's on my list. I know the reputation, so I would imagine that was probably close between those two from what I've seen the category. But
Mhm.
I was like, she is the definition, like her role, and what Rachel Weisz does with her role is that I think you can define it as a supporting character to a T. Like
Yep.
she is there to move the story, she is there to influence the story, and once she leaves the movie, you remember her. And
Yes.
obviously, like she doesn't leave, like you still see flashbacks, so it's not
Mm.
that easy. But her shadow, for lack of a better term, on over this movie is so dominant where it's like, oh yeah, I agree with this. Like I'm happy for Rachel, and I for them to sell that, the chemistry from them from coming from different worlds, right? And like the webcam scene is so fucking cute. Like, like her, like he fucks around with the webcam and like shoots her while she's in a bathtub pregnant.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's the ultimate, like this is the scene where it's not like oh yeah, we see Rachel Weisz naked. It's more about like this is where you see where how much they actually care and love each other, right?
Mm.
And I think she is deserved, or she was deserved of the win.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think she's incredible in this because she is this character only works if you believe how electric and magnetic of a personality she is.
Yes.
And Rachel Weisz is legitimately one of the most talented actors working.
Hmm.
But I feel like on some level she's underappreciated because, like, one, most people know her from The Mummy, which also she's incredible. Her and Brendan
Yes.
Fraser are both incredible in that movie. And it works because they don't just treat it as like this phoning it in franchise film performance. It's like they bring so many layers and charm and the chemistry they bring to that.
Hmm.
But I think she got there was a while there where she was like in the Born Legacy, Oz the Great and Powerful, and
Yep.
like I
Yep.
feel like people stopped thinking about her in this way, where she was an Oscar winner. But I'll give you, even just in the past 10 years, between The Lobster, My Cousin Rachel, Disobedience, The Favorite, the Dead Ringer show that she did, where she had her dual performance, she's incredible.
Hmm.
Like, obviously, probably most people remember her recently because she was in Black Widow.
Oh yeah.
But like, he is an incredible actor, and he deserved that Oscar so much because she is magnetic,
Hmm.
electric, and that's one of the reasons why it's hard to be frustrated with her and her actions because she is such an alluring presence in this film. I think I was a little surprised like Ray Fiennes didn't get attention for this because let's remember he has not won an Oscar at this
Yes.
point in his career, despite the fact that some of the Academy voters didn't vote for him last year because it's like, oh well, he already won one.
For Schindler's List. Like he's been in so many either nominated and I think like 3 or 4 movies won a Best Picture, including English Patient, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
But
But
well, we will get to that in a
yeah,
minute.
but yes, it seems like when I was watching this and the English Patient, I was like, so we had this whole thing about Leo finally got his Oscar. Leo finally got his Oscar, but the Ralph
Where's Rafe's
Fiennes.
Oscar?
Like I was like, Ralph Fiennes is, like English Patient is pretty much the year of like right about Titanic, right? When Leo, nobody thought Leo would become this beast of an actor, right? He was the teenage heartthrob, right? So like he's been putting performances like this out for yeah a couple of decades now, and he's not slowing down. So I don't understand what this man has to do to fucking. Does he have to actually also crawl into the bear and like to win his Oscar like Leo did?
I was really hoping that he would win for Conclave,
Same.
honestly. And apparently he has another big film coming out this award season too. So maybe
Mhm.
it's his year. And I'm sure he won't give an incredibly horrible actor acceptance speech. Adrian Brody.
Six
But like,
minutes that tell you nothing. Yep.
yep. Ray finds his performance in this, and I think it's because like Capote, Philip Seymour Hoffman won this year, and
Hard
that
to
is
argue.
a performance.
Yes.
Justin is the type of character that like so much of this performance is small.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the small choices. It's all the subtleties because he is a putting on a good face and trying to like keep a calmness, but it's like the underlying things that like the way he looks at that email that he pulls up
Yep.
of Sandy, and when he finally confronts Sandy and he has those moments, you start to really see him come out of his shell of this like trying to keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Fine's performance was really good. And I could have seen it being nominated, but like I wound up looking up like who got nominated that year, and it was a pretty strong year
And you
in
can
terms of
also
best
make a
actor.
yeah, and you can also make a point that maybe due to Rachel Weisz's performance, that's like overshadowing
Yes.
this entire movie. Like, maybe many voters would remember her, but not so much him.
Yes.
And so that might, because her performance is so like as you said, electric, magnetic, where like she just works. I wouldn't be surprised if I kind of forget, like in let's say a year's time, he was in that movie, but I will remember her. And I wonder if that's how many Oscar voting people thought at the time. Maybe.
Mhm. Well, I think that's exactly the case. I think his performance was too reserved and subtle.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's been a few performances that have gotten Oscar nominations like that. Like, I think Bill Nye in
Mm.
Living. Like that is a like pull it in, reserved, very British stiff upper lip kind of performance, but it's in all the little details.
Also in
Um,
this movie.
oh, I'm gonna get to him in a minute. Fa- Phantom Thread with
Mm,
Daniel Day-Lewis. Like Daniel Day-Lewis is going to get nominated because it's Daniel Day-Lewis, but
yes.
like that performance is so much more reserved and in the little details versus a lot of his other performances that are like huge. But like Ray Fiennes is great in this. Danny Houston, between this and The Naked Gun, honestly, these are probably my two favorite performances of his because he is a smarmy, sleazy piece of trash in this movie, and he's so good at it. Like he is, you look at this man's face, he's untrustworthy. I don't trust this man. And Danny Houston just lives in that space, and God, he makes me want to vomit whenever
Yep.
he's like coming on to Tessa, and just like, ugh,
I do love that scene when she makes him that offer, like like he can have me for one night if you give me the letter, and
yep,
then like the camera stays on his face for about 20 seconds or so, and you can see the range of like him thinking about it, him imagining it, him thinking, is this actually real? All in this about 20 seconds,
yep,
and I'm like, damn, like he knows how to. But at the same time, I was like, he's all those things, and I'm not gonna go bad for him. But at the same time, I kind of believe he actually loves her. I kind of believe he's not just, oh, I want a sex from her. I actually believe he's one of those, maybe they used to be friends and they got friend zoned, you know, and
yeah.
he still yearns for her. Like, so that's the only, and so this was the quickest way to get to her.
Well,
So
and
on some level, I genuinely believe he actually cares for her.
it's hard not to
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's the thing about Tessa, and that's what makes their relationship so interesting is because Justin is not the type of man you would expect Tessa to
Mm-hmm.
wind up with,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but on some level worked. And back to some of the other cast, Bill Nye is
Yeah.
incredible in this movie, and like there's Luke, there is one shot that he sold this so bad in that eulogy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a specific framing of a shot where it's like over the shoulder pointing down from the pulpit,
Mm-hmm.
looking down, and Bill Nye's like chatting with his wife next to him. And then the eulogy starts being read. And the second sentence in, he realizes it's the letter he wrote, and the reaction of him about facing, looking straight at the camera where like the guy reading the eulogy is, and the range of rage, frustration, shot, like all of that is just all on his face. I love Bill Nye. And like this is not a big role. It's an
Nope.
important role. It's an
Mm-hmm.
extremely significant and important role, but it's only like two or three scenes in the movie or so, and he nails it. That whole like lunch with
Oh yeah.
he finds like the range of just the despicable just about it, and then that final scene, that is some A plus acting right there. And I'm just like, damn, that moment just has been sticking with me, and I watched this movie a week ago.
That is one of the most polite storm offs you will ever see. Like he doesn't say anything. He doesn't
So
shout. You
British.
can tell he is, yeah, exactly. He can tell he's mad, but he's still like, nope, I'm just gonna shut up. I'm gonna storm off, but I'm gonna do it my way. And in a way, like this is what's fascinating to me about this movie. You can tell both Ralph Fiennes and Bill Nighy, those two characters, are cut from exactly the same cloth, right? And I
Mm.
think to an extent, when we get introduced to Tessa, Rachel Weisz, and like her screaming at Ralph Fiennes, I think deep down she thinks Ralph Fiennes is Bill Nighy. Because like if you think Ralph Fiennes is like neutral, like proper neutral, maybe neutral evil to like a tiny bit because his lack of action. Bill Nye is proper, not even chaotic, like he's proper super duper evil, right?
His He's lawful evil.
Like,
Like he
yeah, like
uses the
yes,
system in front of him to
to do,
cause so many
yes,
horrible things.
yes,
And yeah, that's the tricky thing is Ray finds his character is too neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he's honestly, if we really want to get into it, kind of gives off like true neutral to me
Mm-hmm.
because like he's just doing like he is living his life. He
Mm-hmm.
does his job,
Mm-hmm.
he follows what's expected of him, and he just wants a garden. He has a little garden,
And I think
and
ultimately that's why she fell for him. Because like she when she got to know him and like after a quick fuck session, I guess, like
yeah.
she realized, hey, he is not the lawful evil I thought I was shouting at, but he works with many lawful evil people, so let me do my shtick and let me try to like, not to use him, but like, he will open the doors where I can actually do more damage to those people, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like,
One,
that's smart.
and unfortunately, it didn't
Hmm.
wind up ending well for her. But at the end of the day, they both sacrificed their lives
Yep.
for the good of everybody. And just a quick couple, like Donald Sumter, Gerard McSorley, and Pete Postlewaite all play smaller supporting roles, but they all play them so effectively.
Hmm.
Like that whole sequence with Pete Postlewaite towards the end of the film is so excellent, all the way up to like him admitting that he's the one who made the call.
Yeah.
And the fact that like this character's like he just straight up says it. There's very little hesitation. He
Hmm.
obviously throws in like I didn't know they were gonna kill them. I'm sorry, but like
Yeah.
there's still like that was me. I did that,
I did
and
that.
it's
Yeah.
just like damn, he just went for it. And I'm trying to remember. I just want to give a shout because what was his brother-in-law's name? Okay, so his real name's Arthur, but what did he call him?
Ah, cannot remember. I'm awful with like
Uh,
character names.
Richard McCabe. I finally
Yeah.
found him on IMDb. I really liked his performance, and he
Hmm.
sold that eulogy really well at the end of the film.
Yes.
Like
He
really well at the end of the film.
he has and like it's such a great performance. Like such a tiny yet great performance. I also want to shout out which I read excuse me on IMDb as a trivia. So
Mhm.
this movie has actually two best winning actresses, like Oscar winning actresses working on it because at the time it's a Kenyan movie. So this young woman called Lupita Nyong'o was working on a movie as a runner. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's a on if IMDb is to be trusted, I think you can search her and it's part of her like profile on IMDb. She was actually like very young, working as a runner, so like getting stuff to
Yeah,
to people and stuff. So I was like, damn, that's
that's really
great.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Luke, do you have any other thoughts on the Constant Gardener?
Uh, very little gardening, but overall great movie.
Yes, there you go. But we're going to move on to 1996's The English Patient, all 2 hours and 42 minutes, and the movie that stole it from Fargo. Um, so at the close of World War II, a young nurse tends to a badly burned plane crash victim. His past is shown in flashbacks, revealing an involvement in a fateful love affair. And this is from director Anthony Minghella and stars Ray Fiennes, Juliette Binoche, Willem Dafoe, Kristen Scott Thomas, Naveen Andrews, Colin Firth, and a few others like Jürgen Prochnow is a pretty famous
Hmm.
German actor. And so this film, I think, is really famous for two reasons.
Yeah.
One, it beat Fargo for Best Picture, which in hindsight is absolutely ridiculous to me, but we'll get into our thoughts on the film.
Hmm.
And two, the Seinfeld joke
Yep.
about how everybody loved this movie, and Elaine's like, "You're all crazy." Because like before I let you do your general thoughts, like I'm
Sure.
just gonna rip the band-aid off here. Do I think this deserved to win Best Picture? Hell no.
Hmm.
Do I think this is a terrible movie? Hell no. There's
Hmm.
a lot of things that really are impressive about this film,
Hmm.
but I have a lot of thoughts. But I'll let you go first.
So this is my second time. I first time I watched it probably 2 decades even, and I actually kind of remember liking it. I at the time I had it rated like 7 or 8 out of 10, so I was quite high on it. Even though even then I was like, didn't have to be that long, but I kind of see it. Now, rewatching it now, I'm like, why did you do this to me, Shane? I'm like, look, it's as you, I think I've written something on Letterboxd, something like that. Like, you cannot deny the technical aspects of the movie. You cannot deny the performances. You cannot deny how fine Ralph is in this movie because I was like, God damn, that's a hunk of a man. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm a straight guy. You cannot deny the music, all like a lot of things, but the pacing of this movie. It's not even about the length. Like I don't mind longer movies, and we will talk about, for your other show, we'll talk
Yes.
about even longer movie. And I have the same issue with both. If you, I don't mind committing to 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hour movie, but justify your length movie. And this movie, if it wants to take me on this odyssey of love, which is cheating, one of the big reasons I have a problem with it this time is like, yeah, they making cheating look so romantic, don't they? You're like, just I have a problem with that. But again, that aside, I didn't feel like, and when the movie ended, I didn't feel like I was in there with the characters. Like, for me, long movies need to suck me in and need to make me feel like, once the credits start to roll, I'm like, hey, I went on this journey with all these characters. I've been to this place, I've been to this place, I've been in that cave with her when she died. I've been in that bed with Ralph Fiennes when he was dying, right? And there was this disconnect where I can never been truly transported into that movie. So that's my general thoughts. I think it's fine. It's as average,
It's
like slightly above average as it gets because of the technical aspects and the performances. But no, that's about it.
you you heard it here first. Luke thinks the English patient is Rafe Fine.
It's very fine. It's just as Ralph. Very fine.
So you have, yes, the technical aspects of this film are really impressive. It really starts off as like this score from, come on, IMDb. The Gabriel Yared, who does the score. It starts off with the credits and the calligraphy and the
Hmm.
music. It's setting the tone,
Hmm.
and Manella does a great job of really setting the tone that he wanted with this film and the technical aspects. You can't argue with the cinematography and all of that of it. It looks
Yes.
like a gorgeous film.
Yes.
And John Sale, who's really impressive cinematographer, uh, worked on Mad Max Fury Road and stuff like that. So like you get that.
Yeah,
This cast is incredible. It's a
it is.
really talented cast. Then you have what this film focuses on, and there's just this film is really well put together from a technical standpoint, but only scenes stand out to me.
Correct.
Like, I don't feel invested in this whole overarching story, but there is scenes that are so effective in this film that I will remember them. But I
Hmm.
won't care about the story that got us from here to here to here to here.
Yes.
Because this film leans way too much in melodrama. Like this feels sappy, which is so strange for a film that's like about World War II and all of this. And it's just like, why does this feel so like the whole setup? It's like I guess going through some scenes that really stood out to me. One, you have Juliette Binoche's Hannah, who has his best friend. You have that fun little back and forth about lending her money and stuff like that. Bomb.
Hmm.
I remember that. That was a really well put together scene. I cared about their relationship, their friendship in just a few minutes. And then I felt that. You have Naveen Andrews, that one sequence where like he was trying to disarm that one bomb.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's just like, oh my God, I think this is gonna blow up and kill him right in front of
Yep.
Ocean. This is gonna be terrible. Caravaggio feels like the most needless character in this movie, but Willem Dafoe is so great because it's Willem Dafoe. And
Yes.
the scene of him being captured and tortured is memorable, impactful. But what the hell does he bring to this movie as a whole? Like it just I don't
I
feel
guess he
like,
connects all of the people together. Like I guess that's he's
but
the
he feels
connecting
like a plot
link.
device then.
I
And
know, I know.
that's basic, and that's the problem. Is
Yes.
that like what are you even doing here? Besides just being convenient to the plot to thread this all together.
Mm-hmm.
And him calling out uh uh Amalci's connection to what he did. The
Mm-hmm.
whole sequence where like, oh my God, they flipped the truck in the sandstorm and stuff like that. That's a memorable sequence. And then you have where like Ray Fiennes shows up after trekking through the desert, trying to save Catherine's life. And it's just like, there's a woman out there, my wife. And it's just like him even going to that point. It's just like you feel that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the issue. I remember those scenes and nothing in between
I thought you were gonna
because
bring up the chandelier thingy with the when he like had the Juliette Binoche on the ropes and like was like swinging her about. That was a beautiful scene too. Like I will
well, yeah.
remember that.
Well, I guess to the point is
Mm-hmm.
there are really well put together, well structured sequences throughout this film that will stand out. The cast
Mm-hmm.
really is great in this film. And yes, Ray Fiennes is extremely attractive, which is so funny because like what's his biggest role up to this point is Schindler's List, where he's the most like disgusting human being possible.
Yeah.
And then you have like, ooh, sexy Lord. Um,
Hey, I can get the ladies too.
yeah, and to your point, like the whole entire thing is like Kristen Scott Thomas and Colin Firth. Um, very British.
Yes, better, better.
And then you have basically this is leveraging World War II and all of these geopolitical things and everything just to tell two love stories and then have a nurse like waiting on a burn victim, and this is stretched out to 2 hours. And you're just sitting there like, so much of this movie, like this should have been much leaner for what this film is actually telling.
Mm-hmm.
And there's moments where I'm just like, you could easily cut this. This is a film that reeks of like they needed to edit this movie down. And to be frank, I could almost guarantee you this probably won best editing Oscars.
Look, I genuinely like I like to say sometimes like the pieces are better than the overall picture they create. They are really trying to create. And I think this movie to a T. Like
Yep.
again, technical aspects. Nobody can like if it won all the categories like camera work and like best sound mix and all, I wouldn't bet an
It did
eye.
win film editing.
See, edit. Like, look, I don't actually like. Yeah, fine. I know I'm not mad. Juliette Binoche winning for her role, also not mad. Ralph Fiennes might have if he were to win, I don't think I would be mad too. But I feel like you can tell the director who sadly passed away like 2005 6. So
Mhm.
like he's no longer with us, and he made Talented Mr. Ripley, if I'm not mistaken. He made Cold Mountain, and Cold Mountain is not
Mhm.
one of those movies that I actually loved, even despite its length, right?
Yeah.
Or remember loving. Maybe if I were to rewatch it, I'm like, oh my fucking god! But Talented Mr. Ripley is awesome, and like this movie like has bits of genius, but I almost feel like he wanted to bring the Lawrence of Arabia. Like he wanted to make, hey, can I make a romance movie, but make it Lawrence of Arabia right now in a 1996 or 7, whatever, right? The answer is probably no. Because it doesn't lend this kind of structure doesn't lend itself so easily to this kind of romance. I think
Yeah.
nowadays, if you wanted to tell this kind of story, it would have genuinely been a better miniseries where I can see the 3 4 hour and a half long episodes like miniseries. Yeah, sure. But like a movie, I genuinely because it does seem like, hey, World War II is happening, but how do these cheating couples feel about this? Right? How do these cheating white people in Africa, how do they feel about this?
Well, and I feel like the film doesn't leverage
Hmm.
the war enough for the drama of the film.
It only leverages it when it suits the movie, like with the bomb,
Yeah,
like with the, like, oh yeah, there's a mine just beyond or below the piano. Like again, there's like hints of, oh yeah, there's a war happening, but hey, love story, cheating.
like this guy's obviously a German, despite the fact that he's
No.
like the most British looking man ever. But what's he supposed to be?
Oh, him, Hungarian?
Yeah, and it's just like total German, 100%, no questions asked. Which, just to throw this out there, because like obviously Fargo's the film that's going to live on in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like legacy. And I'm obviously a humongous Coen Brothers fan, so yeah, it upsets me that this won Best Picture. But like Ray Fiennes lost out to Jeffrey Rush for Shine, which I've seen that. Like I think Jeffrey Rush is an incredible actor, and I think
Mm-hmm.
gave a great performance. They were also up against Tom Cruise for Jerry Maguire. Um, the people versus Larry Flint, Woody Harrelson,
Ooh,
and
that's a good performance.
Billy Bob Thornton for Sling Blade. Um,
Ah, okay.
and this is like Ray Fiennes, I think, gives a great performance. There's a lot of strong performances in this film, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, let's see, because Best Actress that year was Frances McDormand for Fargo, and she was incredible. Because Kristen Scott Thomas got nominated for Best Actress, which is so weird to me. How did she get nominated for Best Actress, but Juliette Binoche was supporting actress when Juliette Binoche is the other lead of her story in this movie?
That's what I call shenanigans. I just genuinely, that's like such a fucking, like, I would argue Juliette Binoche was supposed to be the leading, if anything
They should have been
else.
switched.
Yeah, like,
But I can guarantee you that, the Weinsteins were like, Binoche has a much better chance of winning supporting actor. Because yes, let's remember this is a Miramax film, and this has
all the scenes.
this has Weinstein campaign written all over it that it won 9 Academy Awards.
Well, that's why he was, Harry, not to skew this too much, but that's why he was one of the most powerful, if not the powerful producer for
Yep,
about 20 years.
yep.
Like, and he produced some amazing movies. He's a, awful garbage human being, but he has, if you were not to watch, if you were gonna say, I'm never gonna watch anything he produced, well, you'll miss out on fuck ton of great movies.
Yeah. Like Tarantino,
Metric fuck
Kevin
ton.
Smith, like you're
Like,
just cutting
yeah.
out like whole entire filmmakers' careers.
Yep.
And this film, there's a lot of things that really work about it, but overall, it just as a whole experience
Mhm.
doesn't click in a way. Like I think if you love a good historical romance and stuff like that, you'll eat this up because
Yes.
like it checks all the boxes.
hmm
Like it never really feels like it elevates itself above just being that.
Yeah.
And for it to be a great film, for it to be a best picture winning film, it really needs to elevate above just being like your paint by the numbers kind of whatever genre it's going for. And yeah, this is like the prototype for like historical romance. And yeah,
I would say this might sound wrong, but to me, this is a prototype of what some people would call chicks movies, right? This is such a, like, oh yeah, they are cheating, but it's okay because they are actually in love. And this is just, so the love beats all, but then die, and it's so beautiful. And it's just like, and I don't even look at it from the lens of, oh, this is the best picture winner. No, it's more about, if you want to do this, give me a great movie. Give me, and not just the, but give me a movie that actually stands on its own. And I don't feel like this one does, in a way where many others attempted to do something similar and do stand on their own, and they are not remembered just for, hey, you know, how did these people feel about World War II happening? Nah.
well,
Anyway.
and this going for like this out of Africa, those types
hmm
of films, it's like that that's the mold that this is.
Yes.
And like obviously there's the tragic like Ray Fiennes is completely burned victim. Also crazy makeup, putting that all
That
together.
makeup, great. Like
Yes.
again, makeup, awesome.
Yep. And like you bring up Lawrence of Arabia, sure it has that scale, but like
Hmm.
has none of the depth that Lawrence
No.
of Arabia had because this film completely ignores so much of the like the only moment where I felt like it really dug into like them just writing him off as a German and arresting him, and the fact that he winds up giving up plans to try to save Kirsten Scott Thomas's life, and it's just like, well, he became an inadvertent spy.
Hmm.
And like that's the only piece of this whole puzzle where I feel like any of this really directly leveraged the geopolitical issues. Like if you're gonna use this as a backdrop, you gotta have some like case in point, perfect romance that does something like this Casablanca.
Yeah, yes.
The whole entire geopolitical issue is so deeply rooted in the story and the characters, and then you have a great romance. Will they, won't they? On
And not
top of
only
it.
that, that was made during the actual World War II with actual people who fled France, Poland, and countries like that. So there's even more at stake for them in the
Mhm.
movie, and you can feel the raw emotions from even the extras when they, you know, no, like that's a great example of something like yeah, we remember the love story, but also we remember it's a war movie and about how how people are put in positions where they need to make sacrifices and tough choices. And this movie does some of it?
Well,
Question
and
mark?
I actually have to correct myself because there is a big part of this movie that it's trying to leverage the war.
Hmm.
It's Caravaggio.
I mean,
And the reason he feels so out of place is because they don't do a very good job of making this feel important. Where, like, I feel like Willem Dafoe's whole entire purpose of being in this movie is to be like to finally call out Ray Fiennes' character for being the spy.
hmm, hmm, that's
And
about it.
also, I love when it's just like, and they put me down as the English patient.
Roll credits.
I'm like, roll credits.
Yep.
Which also like them just assuming he was English was very on point. Which like it's also Ray Fiennes. He's like the most English person ever, but he's supposed to be not English.
Yes, he's supposed to be Hungarian. Hungary. Oh.
But I love Kristen Scott Thomas. I love Juliette Binoche. They're both incredible actors, and they give really good performances in this for what's at.
Mhm.
Like I feel like Kristen Scott Thomas does a great job of delivering what's asked of her, which to be honest is not that much
I
in
was
the
gonna
whole grand
say
scheme of things.
with her, like I feel like Kristen Scott Thomas, like I like her as an actress. I have no issues with her. In this movie, I almost feel like she's wasted, and like in a sense where this could have been anybody. And I don't think it's her fault. I think it's the movie's fault. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah,
So like
the
I don't even
she's a nothing
think
character.
that's kind of my point. So like when you told me she was nominated for best leading, I'm like, really? Again, I love me some Kristen Scott Thomas. I really like her in many other movies. But in this movie, I'm like, she feels wasted because like the movie is like, oh yeah, this is the woman he is cheating with, and then she dies in a cave waiting for him. Woo!
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Juliette Binoche's character is infinitely more interesting because
100%.
she actually has a story and an arc because she's the
Correct.
co-lead of this movie because it's parallel stories the whole entire time.
Yes.
Category fraud in its finest,
Mm-hmm.
for
100%.
sure. But Luke, do you have anything else to add about the English patient?
No, I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. Just again, if you wanna look, I would still cautiously say it's worth watching. It's not a bad movie by any means. Like we dumped on this for a while, so let me just scale back and or step back and say it's not a bad movie. It's perfectly fine. Just as not as fine as Ralph because goddamn. But yeah, I would still cautiously recommend for people to watch it, but don't expect too much.
It is a it is a film that will never live up to its legacy of being a 9-time award winning like It won 9 Oscars.
It
Like,
did.
that's wild. And, you know, I don't think 1996 necessarily is like the biggest year of film. Like, there's just one very glaring choice of
Mhm.
like, yeah, you all chose this over Fargo. And I will never let that go. Not as much as I won't let Spotlight beating Fury Road go, because I will never let that go. Never. But that's our discussion here on two Academy Award winning Ray Fiennes films, one of which should probably have won the more awards than the other, but such is life. That's what
Mhm.
happened. Luke, thank you so much for coming on as always and talking movies with me.
Always a boss, Shane. So thank you so much for having me.
And next week, Jeff and I are going to talk about some like a specific era of Bradley Cooper's career with Burnt and Limitless. So a
Mm,
couple of films from before he really started getting like, I'm an awards person. Um
I'm a
and
serious person.
a serious
Serious.
person. And then next month, Luke and I are going to be doing a double feature of La Femme Nikita and Subway from Luc Besson. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite Ray Fine performance? And why is it Gustav H from the Grand Budapest Hotel, which he should have won an Oscar for because he was amazing?
Yes.
Um, yes, yes, 100%. And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew podcasting network is ever expanding. There's so many great shows, all different types of interest. You'll find something, especially if you love movies, because there's a lot of that. And I'm a big contributor to that. But if you want to be part of the crew, whether as a guest on one of these shows or as a host of your own podcast, reach out to us on our website. But if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.